What's up, everybody? It's Gino coming to give you a full card overview of UFC 291 for the BMF title, Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. Let's get right into it, but before I get started, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave me a comment of who your favorite fighter or fight is, and if you don't want to do that, just leave me a letter to boost that algorithm so we can get more people watching the videos. All right, so we have Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. Now, you're going to notice a little bit of a format change. I'm not doing full Draftkings breakdowns, and that's because I am working with the DFS Army now with providing notes, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit on how you can get with that. But I will give you my picks as of right now, which could change on who I think wins each fight on the card. So let's go Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. I'm going Dustin Poirier. I did a further, more in-depth analysis of it with film, if you want to look on the channel when the fight was announced. I think Dustin Poirier is able to, he's got more skills. He's able to twist and turn more within the pocket. He's able to move his feet. He will make Justin Gaethje tired. If you watch Justin Gaethje fighting Fiziev, Fiziev is standing there cement feet with Justin Gaethje, which is right into his game. Dustin Poirier is not going to do that. Dustin Poirier knows step in, use a jab, soften him up, get inside, bang it out with him, take as minimal as little bit of damage as he can by slipping shots, and then get out and then reset. I think that wears on Justin Gaethje. I think Dustin Poirier is right when he says it doesn't go the distance, and I think around round 3 or 4, it's not going to end in round 1 or 2. Justin Gaethje gets finished by Dustin Poirier. But I think regardless, the winner will be fighting DuBronx or Islam for the title. And then the other person will retire. I stole that from somebody, and I'll try to give them – it's a famous fighter or former fighter, but I can't remember. But I think they're right when they said that. That's where I got the idea. Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, I think, wins this. I think Jan, if he tries to emulate the Izzy style of how he pressed him, I think it's not going to work out the same way because Izzy uses a leg kick, a very lethal leg kick to keep you away. Jan was able to protect the top, and then his lower, it was like Henry Cejudo was talking about it with Dreykus going in to fight him, like callousing those shins. He's just so thick, and just those shins he's a big boy. So I think he was able to absorb more of those leg kicks. And then because he was able to take more damage on the legs, that the upper kick of Izzy was neutralized then because he could defend it better with his arms. Because if you watch Izzy, he's pausing people with those leg kicks, and eventually he gets them those arms to start dropping, and then that's where he can hit you up top. So anyways, I say all that to say I think Pereira is going to use his hands, and a shot to the face is much different than a shot to the shin. And I think that's where Pereira can get to him. I think if he tries to press him, I think that the power of Pereira is going to be the difference in that what keeps him off and versus Izzy being able to keep him off with his hands because he doesn't have the power that Alex Pereira does. So I think Alex Pereira gets him, and it could even be early if Jan comes out aggressive, early pressing with a hard pace. So we're going to go Alex Pereira on the slight plus money. I have a feeling that line is going to be changed by the time it could be changed by the time this video is up. Bobby Green versus Tony Ferguson. I am going to pick Tony Ferguson. Plus 260 Tony Ferguson makes no sense against Bobby Green. I'm not saying either guy's great, but there's no way Bobby Green is that much better than Tony Ferguson, especially when you look at the resume of Tony Ferguson. That's all I need to say. It goes to the ground. We know what happens if it goes to the ground. Ferguson all day. That's what I think it does eventually get there, and you're going to get a win from Ferguson. If not, you might get a decision, but Ferguson wins ultimately. Next, we have Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Holland. Whether it's on the feet or on the ground, I think Holland's got the edge. The striking goes to Holland. If it goes to the ground, Holland has got some serious submission skills, not to be slept on, and Chiesa does not. So, Chiesa's been extremely inactive, where Kevin Holland may be the most active fighter of all time ever, because he will literally show up 12 hours before a fight and fight. So I'm going to go Holland with the pick on that. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who beat Kevin Holland recently, is fighting Michel Pereira. This one's tough because I want to go Michel Pereira, but I think Thompson's rounded experience, if you look at who he's gone the distance with some of the top guys in the division, and then if you look at how he beat Holland later in the round, I think that this fight goes into like round 2 and 3, that's where Thompson gets his edge because he knows now he's been 5-round fights, so he knows how to move his pace up and down differently from a 5-round fight to a 3-round fight. So he'll be able to bring more out in the beginning, but just enough to make Michel tire a little bit, and then you're going to see 2 or 3. Wonder Boy's going to come on even stronger. So what I'm saying is if you see Pereira winning after round 1, it might be a great live opportunity for Wonder Boy Thompson. So I'm going Thompson. Also, don't forget, Thompson beat Jorge Masvidal in 2017, and that was when I think beating Jorge was more credible. So next we have Derek Lewis versus De Lima. How interesting is this that Derek Lewis has fallen to the featured prelim, guys? But I'm going to go Derek Lewis simply because he's got the hammers in his hands. I don't really have a strong conviction either way, but why not? It's D-Lou. Let's see what he can do. Hey, that rhymed. Trevin Giles versus Gabriel Bonfim. I think this is a good fight for Gabriel Bonfim, and I think it presses him, and I think he wins. I usually don't pick guys like this who haven't been tested that have big numbers on this, but he looked very impressive in his Lazez and Waters wins. And I think he continues that against Trevin Giles here, who, his losses are to Duplessis and Morales, and he does have these decision wins over Parsons and Kosei. He's been in the UFC for a decent side, but he doesn't beat the mid to high tier guys, and that's kind of what they're treating him like, a gatekeeper. Like, is this Bonfim guy? Where's he at? Like, how good is he really? Let's pair him up against Giles, and see where he ends up. But I think Bonfim is the real deal, and I think he wins here. Next, we have Claudio Ribeiro versus Kopylov. Okay, so look at this. Okay, I didn't want to get the name wrong. So he lost to Al Hassan. I watched that on film, and if you watch the Al Hassan film, he let him get inside on him. And it neutralized the distance, it neutralized the striking, because at the beginning of the fight, he's really tagging him up. But once he gets inside, that's when he loses. I thought he learned from that, kept Joseph Holmes, fought a smarter game plan, but still used that power against Joseph Holmes, and then landed the round 2 TKO over him. And just go back and watch the 2 fights and compare how he is. I love when guys lose to good, experienced guys that are talented, and then they have a camp that they can go back to and learn from, because they're always the best plays. So we've already gotten to see him come back better, and now we're still getting dog money on him. I'm going to play it. So Ribeiro, and he's going to be one of my favorite dog plays of the week. If you are playing Draftkings, I do like him, because if he can get a round 1 or round 2 finish, I guarantee you he is going to be a lower price fighter. I have not looked at the pricing, though, as of right now. Vinicius Salvador versus CJ Vergara. I'm going to go Salvador on the plus money because Vergara has shown me nothing. No, both of these guys, they are very relatively. You only have a minus 170 on Vergara, and both guys are. They're very similar, but I like how Salvador throws in flurries. He's coming off that decision loss to Altamirano, and again, I think that's another thing that we learned from. What did we learn? He can go the distance. He had all TKO and KO finishes prior to this, and he is fighting a guy in Vergara who's never been knocked out, though, but he does have a submission loss. Salvador has had his chin cracked. So, it's very stalemate-ish. So with that, I just always concede to the plus money guy, but that's just my pick. I'm not going to be playing that. Here we have Jake Matthews versus Darius Flowers. I really liked what I saw on Darius Flowers on film, but I had to remember who he was fighting versus who Jake Matthews fights. If you look at who Jake Matthews has fought, he had a decision loss to Sean Brady. He lost a close decision to Samuelsberger. He has moderate wrestling volume, low striking volume. But the thing is, he's experienced. And I think a powerful wild man like Flowers, yeah, he could come out and land the KO, but I think the more likely thing happens is if he comes out with that wicked pace and that aggressiveness, a more technical, savvier Jake Matthews uses the distance, uses the ring, tires him out, or may even trick him into a position to get him down and get him into a submission, because he can do that too. I just think he's the more rounded fighter, and I think he beats Darius Flowers. Next, we have Priscilla Cachoeira versus Miranda Maverick. I usually do not go with I usually concede to female underdogs, but I am actually going to go with Miranda Maverick because I think Miranda Maverick's good. I think that she just lost close as a favorite, and I think Cachoeira is 4-1, so this is a tough matchup for her. And you look at it, but I think it's a sucker line in that she's at a stylistic disadvantage against Maverick. In that Maverick can kind of mess with her on the feet and hang with her on the feet because Cachoeira's not crazy with the hands. It's more of her durability that makes her so tough, obviously. But Maverick can get it to the ground, and I think that's where Maverick gets the advantage, and that's why Maverick has this big line. I'm not going to bet it, but that's who I'm picking to win if we're picking fighters. Next, we have Uros Medic versus Matthew Semmelsberger. I'm going to go Uros Medic. If you look at Semmelsberger, though, he's never been finished in the UFC. His KO wins over Jason Witt, Matthew Semmelsberger. Jason Witt. He is Matthew Semmelsberger. He has no wrestling. He can get taken down, but that's not a threat here. He has a 43% strike accuracy, and he doesn't have high striking volume. You have Medic, who lost a submission to Jalen Turner, but we'll forgive him for that because we're learning Jalen Turner is actually very good. He could struggle later in rounds as he has not been to a third round in his career, and he's a powerful finisher. He took a big jump up against Turner. So I think Medic comes out and hands Matthew Semmelsberger his first knockout. I think Medic really has some dynamite in his hands, and I think he's the real deal. He has a large sample to prove that, in that he has 28 professional wins and 1 professional loss. So we're going to pick Medic to get the win, and that is it, guys. Hey, so remember, I'm not giving the DraftKings plays and the betting plays. You're going to have to go to the DFS Army, use my promo code DFLGino, join our team today. You get 10% off for life. Keeps the same rate for life. We've got million makers, everything, and I'll continue to talk more to you about it as I do the show because I enjoy doing this. But go ahead and give us a look there. If at the least subscribe to the channel and share this video. Thanks, guys, and good luck this weekend.